Hey, how's it going? It's Sean Bradshaw from cyberfret.com, and I wanted to give you a couple little quick tips on helping you play your chords a little easier. These are kind of for beginning guitar players, people who are just getting started and maybe having a little trouble getting some of the chords, notes in your chords to sound. And so, as an example, I'm going to be using a real basic C major chord. And I'm going to first show you a couple of hand position things, help you get in the right position and make things easier, and then I'm going to give you a little secret tip that's going to make all your chords easier when you're first playing. Alright, so a couple of little hand position troubleshooting things that are going to help you out is on the C chord, rather than kind of coming straight on like this, where you see my fingers are really spread far apart and I'm straining and in pain, well, here's something that you can do, and I'm going to exaggerate a little bit, is if you kind of let your hand fall a little bit to the side. Look how I'm on kind of the left side of my fingers. I don't really need to fall this far over, but what that allows me to do is I can actually stretch my fingers even further if I wanted to without having to stretch between my fingers like this. And so that helps me keep closer to those fret bars without putting a lot of strain on my fingers. Now, another thing is keep the palm of your hand here fairly close to the bottom of the neck. A lot of times when people have trouble with chords, their fingers are touching strings they don't want them to touch. So what happens is if you kind of close the space up, bring your hand a little closer to the bottom of the neck here, it's going to let your fingers come in at a little bit steeper of an angle there. And so then, like in this case, my third finger wouldn't end up touching this fourth string and getting a kind of muted sound. So, and the kind of the third hand position thing here is if you're still getting some of the strings muted out, just pull your hand out in front of the guitar a little bit more. Again, I'm really exaggerating here. But what that does is just a slight movement forward is going to, again, bring this last segment of your finger down, and so you won't end up touching these strings that you don't want. A lot of times when people are trying to move in these three directions, like when I say pull your hand in front of the guitar, a tendency is to also drop it down, and that kind of goes against what I was telling you before, is try to keep this part of your hand fairly close to the bottom of the neck. So fingers angled to the left side a little bit. Keep the palm of your hand fairly close to the bottom. Now it depends on what chord you're playing. This is for these basic kind of open position chords that you might be first learning. And if you need to, pull your hand in front of the guitar a little bit more. All right, now here's that secret trick for making all of your chords easier to play, and that is to use a capo. Now, a capo is used to change the pitch of the open strings. That's what its main purpose is. So if I was to play a C chord here, just normal, now if I took a capo here and put it on the first fret and played a C chord, that would now sound like a D flat. But another thing that does is it actually lowers the action of your guitar. The action is how high the strings are off of the frets. And so by putting a capo here on the first fret and kind of then you pretend that the second fret is like the first fret and you play all of your chords there, now the action on your strings is a lot lower, and especially for a beginner, that makes a lot of chords much more easy to play. Or if you're doing things like working on bar chords, a lot of people curse out bar chords at first, these chords where you have to place, all four of your fingers on some different chords sometimes. Well, if I could use the capo there at the first fret or even bring it up a little bit higher, and again, that just makes them much easier to play because now I don't have to press down as hard. Now, you still want to practice these things without the capo, but if you're having some trouble and you're getting some strings muted out that you don't want, or you're having trouble pressing down on things like bar chords, try putting a capo down and then practice your chords, and you're going to find them a lot easier. All right, have fun. Have a good one.